Association of Oil Marketing Companies expresses optimism about steps by the presidency to check illegal fuel activities in the country. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Darryl Kwao. We'll be back shortly with the details. All right, thanks for joining us once again. Now, Ghana has begun moves to access funding support allocated for countries implementing the World Trade Organization's Trade Facilitation Agreement. The undisclosed fund aims at addressing some financial challenges associated with the Trade Facilitation Agreement, which Ghana ratified recently. Now, Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Tremanting, at a conference on the Single Window and Trade Facilitation Agreement, called on the WTO to make adequate resources available from the fund to support Ghana in the implementation process. Ebenezer Sabute has more in the following report.
Ghana is one of the first countries to ratify the World Trade Organization's WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement through the introduction of measures that seeks to reduce bureaucracies at the ports of entry. The agreement is also aimed at reducing trade barriers among member nations of the WTO, as well as making trading through the ports flexible. Speaking at the conference on the Ghana National Single Window and WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement, Minister of Trade and Industry Alan Tremanting noted Ghana will be accessing the funds available from the WTO to support government's efforts in implementation.
The WTO has a trade facilitation facility which is meant to support particularly developing countries to be able to undertake the kind of measures that will fulfill their commitments. And I think I heard him right when he said that it is there, but you have to ask. So we are asking you. We are asking you. And it's not a question of there is not enough money. If we had time and I was going through what it takes for a developing country to fulfill their commitments under the Trade Facilitation Agreement, the WTO, you realize that it requires a lot of funding.
On her part, Chief Executive of West Blue Consult, an implementing agency under the agreement, Valentina Minta, disclosed in an interview that besides the financial support, Ghana will also need technical support.
I think it will be a combination of, I'm sure you heard the minister mention to the WTO, UNCTAD, and the WTO Deputy Secretary General that we will be calling on them. It's about technical assistance, it's about funding, and the Trade Facilitation Facility is the first time that the TFA, the agreement, has a facility to support the execution of it. So I think it will be technical assistance from the facility as well as financial resources and financial resources from Ghana.
The conference under the theme Single Window and the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreements, Key Tools for Trade Development, was attended by port officials from the West African sub-region, among others.
Meanwhile, government's quest to ensure its flagship industrialization policy, One District, One Factory, is private sector-led, is materializing. A Turkish firm is currently working to invest some $150 million into the agri sector. Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Guan, disclosed this to Joy Business at the conference on the National Single Window and World Trade Organization's Trade Facilitation Agreement.
There are many, and they are coming through many angles. They only come to GIPs when they've set up their business and they've registered. But I have been to Turkey, where there's a whole Turkish delegation coming to have a look at it. I have had indications of another Turkish group that has indicated that they want to invest 150 million and help our own people set up little factories to manufacture and put together agric machinery. It's a 150 million facility with an interest of 1%. So they are there. I have had a group from Canada also indicate clear interest that they want to go into the agric processing area. I have had a group from Dubai also say they are clearly interested, and so they are studying. They have come in, they have gone around the country, and I believe that the interest is real. It's been overwhelming. I mean, I must say that the interest and the goodwill that this government has is sometimes overwhelming. And because suddenly Ghana is on the lips of many people. They are trying to understand where we are going. They recognize the change. And I think the new government has a lot of goodwill, which can translate positively into rebuilding our economy and growing it and creating jobs for our people.
The West African sub-region, just recently the president was in Benin and Togo, some of other countries. I want to find out whether we have some of these companies also coming into Ghana. You mentioned Turkey, you mentioned Dubai, but within the sub-region, are we having such a collaboration with such companies to come into Ghana?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there are Nigerian companies already seriously looking at this market. There are Ivorian investors already looking into this market in the area of textiles, in the area of cocoa processing. And so we do have, but I think the president's visit was very important for us because these are our neighbors. So on many fronts, it was indeed very important to engage our neighbors to understand where we are going and also collectively look at the region. And I think Ghana is best positioned to sort of be an industrial, financial, transport and financial hub for the sub-region, the West African sub-region. And I think that is where the economy is being fashioned towards. And that is why we are going to see a lot of reforms to bring in the investment to open up into the West African sub-region.
Okay, now the issue of it.
Now, Deputy Trade Minister Carlos Ahenko has indicated government would announce new measures to deal with the influx of pirated textiles. The pirated textiles, which have flooded the markets, is among the major factors contributing to the collapse of the local textiles industry. The anti-piracy task force set up by the previous government has made little progress in tackling the situation. Mr. Ahenko, however, assures Joy Business the issues confronting the textiles industry of major concern to government.
It is this government's priority to ensure that our local companies are protected. Of course, not contravening any of the protectionism clauses of the WTO agreement. But what we are very careful and conscious about is the fact that everybody has to survive. So therefore, the ministry is looking at that level playing field where both manufacturers and importers alike would have that commonality to survive in this common market. It's been difficult, I know, from the previous government's point of view or from the previous government's doings to control this particular sector. But I would promise you here and now that very soon you're going to hear what this government has to, as it were, put this business under control.
Well, the Deputy Minister has also been speaking about the Commander Sugar Factory. He has indicated government would soon roll out strategies to revive the defunct Commander Sugar Factory in the Central Region with the aim of creating jobs for scores of people in the area. The sugar factory, worth millions of dollars, was operational for some time last year prior to the elections, but has ceased operations since due to the lack of raw materials.
Make any commercial sense for anybody to put up a factory when you don't actually have raw materials to feed the factory. Let us look at where we are standing now. You think that if this owner of the company thinks that he's not going to get raw materials, he'll ever put a factory up? No. As if that is not enough, he goes ahead to give soft loans without interest to farmers to even feed this company, and now he's looking for more. Then somebody in his wisdom was sat down and said that because of politics, you borrow money at about $25 million to put up a factory, and you finish there, the factory is there, but the raw materials will be ready in the next so many months, so many years. Even my daughter in class 7 will not do such voodoo economical acrobatics. But here again, the MPP government, President Kufuor government, is now saddled with this problem. I can assure you and I can tell you that we are working frantically around it to get this company working again. And very soon, if I consider the talks that we have had so far, I can assure you that you're going to hear something. And before the company comes out to operate, we will come out and give Ghanaians the story behind this company and how it came about. Then we all come to appreciate how sad it is to allow some of these things to happen to us as Ghanaians. But basically what I can say is very soon and shortly you would see something in that direction.
Okay, we are moving on now, and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has expressed the government's commitment to firmly deal with activities of illegal fuel operators in the country. The Vice President gave the assurance after he met members of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies last Friday. Now, the association had threatened to escalate their action if government fails to respond to its 48-hour ultimatum to deal with activities of illegal fuel operators. They had argued that the operations of these firms were crippling their businesses and also causing the state to lose over 1 billion cedis in revenue. Coordinator of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Kweku Ajmandia, tells Joy Business they're encouraged by the steps taken so far by the presidency. I don't know if he's joined us on the line. Okay, so we are trying to work that line for you and get the Kweku Ajmandia to speak to, but we are going to move on to one other story you're following for you, and the Chamber of Mines is making the case for Ghana's mining sector to be dominated by local investors. CEO of the Chamber, Suleiman Okoni, fears the mining sector risks losing its competitiveness, especially when many investors are complaining about the mounting cost of production in the sector. There's more in this report.
Ghana's mining industry accounts for 5% of GDP, as minerals resources make up 37% of total exports and is the major source of foreign exchange for the economy. But this trend, according to the CEO of the Chamber of Mines, can't be sustained due to a lack of investor confidence in the industry. Speaking to Joy Business, Suleiman Okoni emphasizes only strong and sustained fiscal investment in the sector can see it become more competitive and attractive to investors.
When it comes to resources, for you to realize the benefit of the resource, you have to invest it. You have to invest in the resource to grow the resource, to develop the resource. And for us, it's a question of competitiveness. How competitive are we to attract investment? Because investors would go to environments where they find comfort. And if the terrain is not that conducive, then naturally they'll go elsewhere. So it's something we've been engaging governments on, especially,
So, not to cut, but are you saying that the terrain here isn't that conducive?
Well, I think that, truth be told, in the last few years we have lost our shine. You go to international conferences, it comes to play. We met one minister a couple of weeks ago, and without even stating our case, he came out, and we were surprised, came out to say that compared to gold production in Ghana, relative to La Côte d'Ivoire, costs are high per ounce.
But how could governments pursue this investment drive? Suleiman Okoni believes this can be done if indigenous entrepreneurs and stakeholders in the mining sector are given the chance to manage the full production and exports of minerals.
The people assume that the Minerals and Mining Law Act 703 is meant exclusively for foreign direct investment. In fact, it covers small-scale mining and then large-scale mining as well. And even under large-scale mining, it is open. It's not just for foreign direct investment. So you and I, we should be able to come together and decide to mine under the Minerals and Mining Act, for leases, large-scale mining companies. Again, when you look at small-scale mining, it is dedicated to Ghanaians as well. So the opportunities are there for us to actually invest, and I'm quite passionate about it. How can we put the Ghanaian at the center of the mining industry? I think it's critical, not just in terms of supply of goods and services, procurement, and so on and so forth, but to take a leadership role in the mining industry through proper investment, not galamsey, but proper investment. How can we, for example, leverage our Ghana Stock Exchange to raise capital, virgin capital, to run mining industry? That's how we create an industry.
Ghana is Africa's largest gold producer and also a major producer of bauxite, manganese, and diamonds.
The Advertising Association of Ghana is blaming the poor state of billboards in the metropolis on local authorities and activities of unlicensed firms. The aftermath of last weekend's downpour once again exposed challenges with the siting of these structures. Joy Business's Sarah Josu has more in this report.
The uneven sight of mangled metal frames of billboards scattered around the city and the aftermath of heavy rains is a phenomenon anyone moving around the capital will observe. This trend has brought outdoor advertisement in Ghana under a lot of scrutiny. Executive Director of the Advertising Association of Ghana, Francis Dadzi, pointed out some factors that contribute to the menace.
There are other issues of inferior materials being used. I mean, there are a lot of print houses that have come up, and let me say that, to borrow a word that is not popular, there's a level of galamsey being introduced into the billboard industry and advertising industry. So you know what? A billboard should have proper footings, foundation should be done, because every weight, depending on the weight going up and the size, you also have to have a corresponding foundation to hold that structure. And the fact that also that there are people who are putting structures under billboards. The people who have owned those sites for more than 15 years. Then all of a sudden they wake up and then there's somebody selling cars under the billboard. Somebody goes to put a container under the billboard. And all these, because the billboard is supposed to have a free place. So in case of anything, because you cannot control the act of God, it should be able to fall free without causing any havoc. So therefore, there are some places that should not also have billboards. Okay? And so therefore, people see one board there and decide to go and put another board by each side. But the understanding is that the board must be standing alone, so that in case there's anything it can have, fall off appropriately.
Mr. Dadzi seized the opportunity to entreat government to pass the Advertising Standards Bill as a form of disciplinary measure to check and regulate activities of the advertising industry.
We're promoting a bill, Advertising Council Bill, so that there must be a legal backing for people to be licensed as advertising practitioners before they practice. But as it stands today, it's a free-for-all. Like that's what I'm talking about, Galamsey. So apart from those who have registered with the association, you know, because they want to do right and want to have opportunity to have training and things like that, we have avalanche of unauthorized billboards.
He also entreated the AMA and other local government authorities to collaborate with the Advertising Association of Ghana to put in place measures that will ensure that such structures are well engineered and also meet international safety standards for their erection.
We are ready as an Advertising Association of Ghana, being the only registered professional body of advertising practitioners in this country, to take up our responsibility as stakeholders and help the assemblies put things right. But at the end of the day, the assemblies must be ready to work with us. We have been here, I've been in this position for almost 17 years now. The Advertising Association of Ghana is more than 30 years in existence. So it is imperative on the assemblies to see us as partners and tap into our knowledge and work.
Now, the idea of selling emojis and stickers in chat applications may seem a bit silly at first. Well, it does sound silly, but the fact is that the stickers are helping some messaging apps bring in tens of millions of dollars each month. Now, developers in Ghanaian game company Daffodils Game and Publishing are seeking to cash in on the need for chat application users to communicate more interactively. Kuko Apia explores the potential market for sticker applications among chat application users.
The latest strategy that's making a splash in the world of technology startups is the sale of packs of stickers, which are large emoticons that can be downloaded and used in messaging apps, in addition to text, pictures, and video. Sticker developers are cashing in on the need for users to express emotions in the digital world, with game and sticker companies like Line grossing up to $270 million per annum. The sticker sub-industry seems to be growing. However, majority of stickers on major social media and chat applications represent the culture of the developer. This means many Africans do not have representation in this area. But that is changing, with companies like Daffodils Games and Publishing Limited, along with developers like Nanaya Ejewa, coming out with applications like Gamoji that are made specifically for the Ghanaian internet and mobile chat user.
Gamoji are stickers for Ghanaians. We pick most of the slangs Ghanaians use, then we send them into stickers. We started doing this because most stickers on the App Store, on the Play Store, on the App Store, on social media pages are mostly for foreigners. So we decided to make local ones for our setting. Since we don't have any social media platform for Ghanaians, or basically Africans, we are trying to get all the stickers on social media platforms. We already have it on iMessage and Telegram, since it's very easy to get them on there. We are trying to get them on Facebook, since most of the Ghanaians who use social media are on Facebook. It's been very cool so far, and it's more like the people outside the country, the Ghanaians outside the country are the ones using them, and well, they make complaints about how banks charge when they buy these things, but still, we have a lot of people buying them and then using the free ones, because we have free sets and then we have the paid ones as well. So it's been really cool, and people really like them. We weren't really expecting that much, but it's been cool.
Although there is a clear need for representation of Ghana's internet population, there is the question of whether or not Ghanaians will be willing to pay for sticker applications. Joy Business spoke to some internet users to find out what lengths they would go to have access to stickers that represent the Ghanaian culture.
Well, it depends. It depends on the cost involved, because usually people are very particular about how much they spend on certain things. So depending on the cost involved and how relevant they think it is to them, I think yes, people would patronize. There's a percentage of the Ghanaian market that would patronize that. As far as they are related to the Ghanaian consumer base, I think yes, I would invest. I would patronize such services, because most of the social media platforms we use don't actually have stickers that relate to the Ghanaian culture.
There is generally a culture for people in Ghana not to necessarily spend online. They would rather go for items that are free or items that are available without necessarily making any monetary exchange. We would notice like a culture concerning like downloading music, downloading movies and series. So to say that the market is ready at this point for purchasing stickers online, I wouldn't say like immediately. I mean, let's look at Bitmoji and how.
Interesting stuff. You're watching Business Live. We are taking a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Ghana is feared to be losing significant revenue due to the menace of illegal small-scale mining activities. Now, government has currently placed a temporary ban on the licensing of small-scale mining in the country, and some stakeholders are of the view this is affecting the economy, as gold has become a major contributor to foreign exchange earnings in Ghana. CEO of the Chamber of Mines, Suleiman Ukoni, speaks with Charles Aite on our interview of the day.
There was a directive by the Sector Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, that all their purchases should be exported through PMMC, and that's why PMMC is actually speaking about the impact, because practically everything is supposed to go through them. Okay, so that's the way the small-scale mining companies actually operate, through the PMMC, and it's exported. Mining companies have their own track, and it's dedicated and is recognized by law, and so on and so forth. So the large-scale mining companies don't buy from the small-scale mining companies or even the illegal miners. No, that's not permitted by law.
So speaking about the PMMC, where do they fall whenever this argument of illegal small-scale mining comes to play?
I think if you look at the law, I think it's quite clear what the role of the PMMC is. This is to mop up. You're set up by law specifically to be a conduit, so to speak, for the export of precious minerals from small-scale mining companies. So that has been their remit from day one. Unfortunately, we have a situation where winnings from illegal sources find their way through PMMC, and that has been a major issue. Policymakers acknowledge this. We know about it. Professionals within the mining industry know about this.
And that's all time will allow us tonight. Thanks for watching. You can always keep up to date on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We are back tomorrow.